Next on End of the Day Beer Review, we're going to be looking at Hobgoblin Ruby Beer. This is by Wychwood Brewery and it comes in at 4.5% ABV. Check it out. Hi, everybody, it's Rich. Welcome to End of the Day Beer Review. If you're new here, welcome. I hope you enjoy the channel. Today, we are going to be looking at Hobgoblin Ruby Beer. This comes in at 4.5% ABV. It is brewed by Wychwood Brewery. It has an interesting bit of Hobgoblin can art on the front of it. And what does it say on the side? It says, this distinct ruby beer brewed with roasted barley delivers sweet caramel fruit aromas to tease the taste buds. Expect a delicious, full-bodied, rich, smooth taste with notes of toffee, figs, raisins, dates, and it says that it drinks legendary. I have to be honest with you, the reason I bought this beer is because I was at the relatively local Trader Joe's, and this beer was on sale for $1.79, and I wanted to see what a $1.79 beer tasted like. Now, if these tasting notes are anything, that's going to be awesome. Now, it does say that this is produced by Carlsberg Marston Brewing Company, which is the owner, I guess, of Wychwood Brewery, which is in Oxfordshire. And this is a product of England. So this is a British beer, an import for, like I said, $1.79 or 97 or something like that. It was an absurdly low price. I was also intrigued because I have a friend and we were very into Lord of the Rings, and every year when it was Bilbo Baggins' birthday, and I don't remember what that date is, he would sit down with Hobgoblin Ale. I'm not sure if it's the same beer. If it is, Pete, drinking this one for you. And he would just drink Hobgoblin beer while watching the entire Lord of the Rings trilogy, which would take basically 12 hours. So I always never had the time to join him, but always thought it was sort of interesting. Cracking this one open. There's no way this can actually deliver everything it promises in these tasting notes. I am using my trusty Guinness glass because it is the clearest glass I own. Now, okay, so first things first. It does pour a nice amber color. Ruby, I guess, would be an acceptable... Actually, no, as it fills the glass, there's definitely more of a red tint to it than I expected. So yeah, I guess the ruby thing is true. And, I'm not the best beer pourer in the world. About 2 fingers worth of head. Let's give the nose a try. Okay, I am getting some sort of like Werther's toffee on top. And shockingly, there's some dark fruit there, some fig. There's something else. I'm getting the toffee, I'm getting the fig. There's also sort of a yeast aroma to it, not like a wheat beer, but there's definitely something there. This smells very nice. In fact, the nose on this alone is worth $1.97. Well, you know what? Gotta see how it tastes. And that's why it's $1.97. You taste caramel. That's that sort of toffee caramel on the front end of this. Middle of the tongue, you're getting the dried fruit, but it is there for seconds. The only thing that's lingering is there's a bitterness on the back end of the tongue and a dryness too. Again, it's one of those beers that make you go like that. So there's a dryness there, a little bit of bitterness. What is that? Almost like a brown sugar toffee type of flavor, but it's so fleeting. It's there and it's gone, and the only thing that's left is this back of the tongue bitterness. So while you're swallowing it, while it's in your mouth, it's a lovely beer. But then boom, the flavor's gone. There's no lingering flavor at all. In fact, afterwards, all you're getting is just a little yeastiness on the back of the tongue and a bitterness that it seems to be building a little bit every time you take another drink, the bitterness on the back of the tongue. So, is this a good beer? Let's put it into perspective. If we were talking about a beer that was $5 a can, I have to say, I would say no. This is not a really good beer. $1.97, this is incredibly drinkable for the price point. And since we drink beers here that range all the way from like $60 a bottle now down to $1.97, although we have had Bud and Bud Light now, and they may actually be less than $1 for all I know. You know, on the value end of it, it's definitely a better beer than like a Macro. It's definitely better than, you know, let's say a Budweiser or a Bud Light, which I think has no flavor at all. So there is flavor here. You get a nice toffee flavor on the front end of the tongue. You get some of those dried fruits in the middle. It's an odd combination, but it's a combination that works. On the back end, there's a little bit of yeastiness, and then boom, there's bitterness and nothing. It doesn't slowly taper off. It just like falls off into an abyss. You know, almost as though, let's say Legolas had shot him with an arrow and he had fallen into Moria. Is it a deal at $1.79? It is. It is. Is this one that I regret not buying a 4-pack for like, you know, $5? No, I don't. I'm glad I tried it. But, you know, like, generally speaking, I expect more from British beers. I just think the British and the Irish beers tend to be a little bit better than what we have here. And I think that all has to do with the ingredients. I think that in a lot of cases, they're able to use better ingredients because, you know, the way their government actually limits what can go into food. So, you know, to then get this beer, and not that it doesn't have flavor, it just doesn't have flavor that lingers in any appreciable way, I have to be honest, is a little disappointing. Now, at 4.5% alcohol, you could drink a few of these, you would not get wasted or, you know, like otherwise impaired. But, you know, the question is, would you want to? I tend to drink more for flavor than I drink for, you know, actually getting hammered. So with that in mind, like, this is not a beer that I would want to drink very much of. That being said, you know, would this be an easy beer to give somebody who is like normally a Budweiser or a Bud Light or something like that type of fan? Yeah, you know, there's some flavor, and I'm sure for like the diehard Budweiser drinker, this would probably be like a shock to the palate for the second and a half that it actually occupies the tongue. But after that, it really just fades away to nothing except that sort of lingering bitterness in the mouth. So, in fact, maybe that lingering bitterness is symbolic of the way I feel about this beer. It had such potential once I opened it, but then there is just that lingering bitterness of not having had a really good beer. There's also something weird, and I just want to bring this up because I want it to be accurate with this review. I feel the alcohol burn, which is absurd. This is 4.5% ABV. We've had beer in this bar that was all the way up to 20%, 22%, and you don't taste the booze. Here, my stomach is actually doing a nice little, you know, like fire dance. Like I can feel the booze in there. And I have had no alcohol today at all, so it's not like this is, you know, a cumulative effect. It's just that I wouldn't be able to say cumulative if it were. But it is sort of disappointing that something that has such a low ABV is also so sort of like, I guess, warming in the stomach. I imagine after a few of these, it would also be sort of like, you know, almost too much. So, you know, Hobgoblin Ruby beer, would I buy it again? Probably not. Although, you know, I am going to be in England later this year. And when I am, if I can find this on tap, I might actually do another review of it just to see if it was the trip across the ocean that killed it or, or not killed it, but brought the flavor profile down so low. And if that's it, I will do another review. Now, if this was the only thing on the menu of macros, would I get this? I probably would. And again, if you're not looking for something that's going to overwhelm you with flavor, that you can sort of drink and ignore, this would actually work for that too. But that's not really why I drink the beer. So, would I go out and get this one again? Probably not. I would look for something with more flavor. Quite frankly, I would happily take a Guinness over this in a second, which, that's all sorts of smack talking right there, considering I'm going for the Irish beer versus the British beer. But that's it. Anyway, folks, I hope you've enjoyed the review and the ranting, because there was a little of that during this one. I am going to probably not even finish this one, to be honest. It's just not that enticing. So I'm going to go open a different beer, drink that, and I will see you next time on End of the Day Beer Review. If you like the review, smash that like button. I'd really appreciate it. Throw a comment in there. If I'm completely wrong, I'd love to hear your opinion on Hobgoblin Ruby Beer. And I will see you next time on End of the Day Beer Review. Cheers.